Good morning. Welcome back to Conversations at the Corner. Today is September 24th, episode 38. Welcome to our listeners. And Pastor Nathan, welcome to you as well.
Well, thank you. Welcome. Let's all just welcome each other.
We are now officially into fall. So Labor Day weekend is kind of the unofficial end of summer, beginning of fall, but it's not actually fall. And in Virginia, it won't feel like fall probably for another 2 months. But I always grew up with September 21st as being the first day of fall, but then I've heard like it's the 20th or 21st or 26th. So I don't know, but we're at the 24th. So we are now into the fall season, which is my favorite season of the year. So very excited about it. Cool weather, colors changing on the leaves, football season, playoff baseball. Like this is the apex of humanity.
I know. We're speaking from the past right now. We're speaking from August, and I got to say, we talk about baseball. It's about time for the playoffs, and I hope the Tigers have not fallen off the cliff because they're doing really well right now in August.
No worry about that. Pastor Nathan, since we are into officially fall now here at the end of September, let me ask you this. As you look at the fall season, what do you like most about the fall?
Oh, boy. I think it really does just boil down to the weather. I really don't enjoy hot heat.
Yeah, me either.
And this summer in particular has been kind of miserable.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of mid to upper 80s and even 90s, a lot.
Yep.
I'm at the point where I need to take a cold shower before bed to cool my body.
Stop from sweating.
Yeah, I really am. So when the weather turns below 70 degrees, I feel so much more comfortable.
Yep.
And I just really enjoy that. And I feel like I could be outside.
Okay.
And it's fun to be outside.
Yep.
But when we lived in New York, in upstate New York, summer was my favorite time of year because it would be a lot of times mostly in the 70s. It would get above that some, but not a lot. So I would go to the park and read and enjoy. I can't do that here in the summer.
Yeah.
So
for you, it boils down to the weather more than anything.
The weather.
Okay. Even more than football season.
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I love football, but
Well, do you want to go to a game when it's 85 degrees? No. I'd rather go and bundle up.
Even the Salem Red Sox, I haven't gone to a game. This is August. Maybe I'll go to one in September, but I haven't gone to one because it's so hot.
Yeah.
Now, I did go with our team.
You took the youth,
and that ended up being perfect because it was low 70s that day. It was we had like a patch of 3 days where it was in
between
the
90s.
I know. and that was perfect, and I loved it, but I don't want to go when it's 85 degrees.
No, not at all. Well, I'm thinking about, so I told you this is my favorite season, and I listed several reasons why. I think I'm going to have to go with you and say my favorite thing about fall is the weather.
Yeah.
I love football season, and in my opinion, there's nothing like playoff baseball. It is the best.
Yeah.
So I love that. I'm a hunter, so I like hunting season, the fall.
Yeah.
But the weather plays into all of that. So I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with the weather.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to finish our series on marriage today. Don't forget about the last Family Month activity that's coming Friday night. Want you to be a part of that. And then our last sermon on Sunday as well in the Family Month series. So hope you guys have enjoyed that this month. Pastor Nathan, take us into the last thing that we're going to talk about. We've talked about what it means to pick a good partner. We've talked about communication and finances. And what are we going to hit on this week?
Okay, so let me start by kind of, if you go all the way back to week 1 on this topic where we discussed picking a spouse. And one of the things I noted was that when you pick a spouse, you're not picking an ideal or a fantasy, you're picking a human being. Let's take that one step further. When you marry someone, you aren't just marrying that person. You are marrying that person, but you are marrying into their family. So all of the family dynamics that they have are now your family dynamics. Now, those family dynamics could be awesome. You could be marrying into a family that's very easy to get along with and, it's perfect and great. Or you could be marrying into a family that has a lot of troubles. And so all of the joys of that family become your joys, but also all of the troubles of that family become your troubles. So today's subject is the in-laws.
Okay.
I will say that as we talk, I'm slightly worried.
Okay.
Because we don't want to say anything bad about in-laws,
yeah.
but they are a part of married life.
Yeah. And when you say in-laws, you're not just talking father-in-law, mother-in-law. You're also talking sister-in-laws,
Yep.
brother-in-laws,
Yep.
Their children, which would be your nieces and nephews.
It could be aunts and uncles.
Yep.
It could
Okay.
be cousins. It could be all sorts
So
of
really just the entire other family.
Right.
Got it.
And one of the things that like I can point to, so for my dad's side of the family, they're pretty scattered. I've got people in Syracuse, New York. I've got people in Michigan. I've got people in Reno, Nevada, and San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
I don't see a lot of those people
Yep.
because they're scattered everywhere. So Olivia really doesn't have to think that much about my aunt and uncle who live in Reno.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Has she ever met them?
She had, I can't remember. My aunt came through when we lived in North Carolina, and I don't remember if Olivia was there for that lunch
Okay.
or not. But she hasn't met my cousins. I have a cousin who lives in Nevada and a cousin who lives in San Francisco. She's never met them. I haven't seen them since I was a kid.
Okay.
So we got to think about the people that you're actually going to be in contact with, and that's what'll really matter. So let me ask you, when you married Samantha and you married into her family, especially the in-laws, what was maybe the biggest surprise or possibly adjustment that you had to make or had to experience?
I think just learning a new family, their personalities, their communication, not really their values, because I think their values were pretty similar to mine. Maybe identical, maybe not identical, but pretty similar.
Yeah.
I think expectations of family, like traditions around the holidays.
Okay. Yeah.
Things like that, you go into marriage and you base things on how you grew up and
Right.
what you have always done or whatever. And then I think we have a tendency to think that it's going to be that way, and then it's not. And so you have to adjust to, oh, this isn't the way they do things.
Yeah.
Or I don't like this, or, oh, I like this better than the way my family does it. Or are we going to create not what my family did and what your family did, but our own traditions and our own way of doing things? Yeah.
Maybe like a simple hypothetical example could be the way that people celebrate birthdays. So one family might say that the actual day of your birthday is super duper important. So like for me, when it's September 17th, on that day, we've got to do something on that day. Now, another family might say, well, yeah, the birthday is important, but we could actually celebrate the birthday on a different day.
Right.
Maybe that exact day. In my case, it'll be a Wednesday, and so I'll have youth that night, and I'll have things to do, and it'll be a busy day. So doing anything for my birthday on the day of September 17th would actually be pretty inconvenient.
Yeah.
So if I was going to celebrate my birthday, I'm the type of person who would say, that's fine. I can celebrate it on the weekend before or after. It doesn't matter to me. But other people might find that day really important. So if two people are getting together and one family has one view and one family has another view, you're going to have to negotiate that a little bit. That's a small, maybe not super,
Yep.
intense example.
Or even how do you do the holidays?
Right.
Okay. Like if you don't live in town, do you alternate? Do you go to my family on Thanksgiving this year and her family on Christmas? Next year would be her family on Thanksgiving, mine on Christmas. That's how we kind of grew up doing it. I think that's how you do it.
That's how we do it, yeah.
Now, my parents and her parents lived here in town. My parents had moved back here before we got married. Yeah. So when we got married, everybody was here in town. My sister lives outside of Atlanta, though, so they have to travel in at different times.
Have to go back and forth, yeah.
But even stuff like that, for some families, that can be difficult. And even if you're in the same town, like how do you? Oh no! Every Christmas morning at 7, we go to this person's house. So that can even get sticky. Not in my case at all, but for some families, it could be that way.
No, that's a good example too. So for us at Christmas, Now, before we had kids, we've always done that where we alternate holidays, unless there's something, extreme that came up and we had to switch it. But generally, we alternate holidays. And the goal of that is just to give equal time. We want to be able to spend Christmas with our family, but we can't always spend it with the same family. But when we had kids, or especially once our kids got a little bit older and it was more like they could open gifts on Christmas and maybe have some memories and things like that, we started to think about, every time that Christmas rolls around, we're either in Michigan or we're in North Carolina, and we never get to have like the regular Christmas morning. And so a few years ago, we started saying, okay, we really want to try to prioritize that as much as we can. So now we live 3 hours from her mom, and this year we're in Charlotte for Christmas. So we will spend the morning doing things with the boys, having a Christmas at home, and then probably in the afternoon we'll go over there. So that was a change, though. Sometimes those traditions, you almost have to be a little bit flexible with them, or how do you handle it?
Yep. And I think as long as everybody has an attitude of willingness and flexibility and respect, I think, those things can work fine. It's when families get rigid or domineering or selfish that it could become a problem.
Right. Yeah. So let's kind of jump off that a little bit. So when we talk, one of the things that I think you mentioned, correct me if I'm misremembering this, but each family is its own culture, right? So we've kind of used holidays as an example.
Yeah.
But there's all sorts of other things that applies to as well. So for instance, like when a family gets together, what do they do together? Now, one family might get together and play board games, and you're not a board gamer.
Yep.
Well, does that mean you're going to have to adjust a little bit? Probably. I mean, you don't have to play them as much. Maybe you could say, I'll play one or two and then I'll sit out or something like that. But if you're really going to embrace that family and be a part of that family, you're going to have to adjust some of your cultural expectations a little bit. So there are even just things like that that you got to watch out for.
Yep. How they communicate.
Yep.
There may be some families that are a little quieter and more reserved, and other families that they talk a lot and they want details and all that.
Yeah.
And then,
now I've got one in-law who they'll in a conversation, it's almost like you're in an interrogation room. It's just like, well, what about this? And then you answer.
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, what about that? And then it's just like this rapid fire, kind of like you almost feel like there needs to be a heat lamp over you. And, they've got a tape recorder and they want to get all the information out of you.
Yeah.
But that's something that I've had to adjust to a little bit with that particular person. And I've had, it sometimes drives me a little crazy, but, you just push through it and it's okay.
And I think if you know that person, listen, their heart is that they want to understand and they want to love and be a part of it. That makes it easier. If they're doing it just to be nosy, that could make it a little harder.
And some of it's just like, I like Olivia's personality, right? Or you're going to like the personality of your spouse. That doesn't mean that you're going to like the personality of every family member that they have.
Yeah.
Most people would marry their spouse, but probably wouldn't marry their spouse's sister or husband, depending on whatever. And that's okay. But you're still going to have to figure out how to get along with them as though they were your actual, because they now are your sister or your brother or whatever.
Yep.
So I think that's one of the cool things, just kind of like, not cool, but as you prepare to get married, you're going to have to think about that.
Or even if you are married and you're kind of working through some of these things because you're newlywed, or you're not a newlywed, but you're trying to make improvements in these relationships too.
Yeah. I'll say like one thing that has really impressed itself upon me is not just adjusting to the family itself, but understanding that your spouse's family has shaped your spouse. So for good and for bad, or even just neutrally. So I'll give you a good example of this. Olivia's family, when she was growing up, they didn't really give her as much space necessarily to like go hang out in her room by herself and read a book and spend time by herself. They always kind of wanted to be together. And that's not good or bad. That's
Just who they were.
That's who they were.
Yep.
For me growing up, I could spend quite a long time in my room reading a book or doing whatever I wanted to do. So when we got married, I always, like, in my mind, it was like, well, if I just want to spend some time by myself, I should be able to do that. But for Olivia, that was culturally not really okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if she would have said
Normal.
right or wrong.
We could
but
say
it just
normal.
wasn't
Wasn't
normal.
normal.
Yeah. And so that has taken a bit of time. That took a bit of time for us to adjust to each other. Like, I just want to be by myself, and that's what I'm used to. You don't necessarily want that because that's what you're used to. So we got to figure out how to mash those two things together. So your family really does shape you. Their practices and their traditions will bleed into your marriage, and they won't always be easy to bring together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And also, I think, too, I mentioned this earlier, their joys are your joys, but their problems are your problems. I mean, like on a purely hypothetical level, if you marry somebody and let's say their uncle is an alcoholic, well, suddenly you have an alcoholic uncle that you're going to have to think about and that will be a part of your spouse's life. And now they're a part of your life, too. And so you're going to have to respond and interact with that.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really important for couples to go into a marriage and be clear-eyed about that. You know, it doesn't mean you're married to the alcoholic uncle per se, but it's going to touch on you.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't just avoid it.
You're going to be impacted by it. You're going
Right.
to be inconvenienced by it.
Yeah.
You're going to talk about it with your spouse or be there when they're trying to process it or be frustrated about it or broken by it or whatever. You're going to walk that road with them.
Yeah. And you think, too, about, like, let's say, you know, you have a spouse whose parents fought a lot and badly. You know, we talked about fighting a little bit in our communication podcast, but let's say they screamed at each other and threw plates at each other. So, like, well, that's going to be your spouse's example.
Yeah.
That's their model.
Yep.
And so they might not have a good model for communication. So all that stuff bleeds into your marriage,
Yeah.
too, a little bit, and you've got to be aware of that.
Yep.
So I don't know that I have a ton necessarily more to say other than just this principle of you are marrying into a family. And that goes along a lot with, like, in ancient cultures, marriages were arranged in order to bring two families together often. It was to kind of unite them. And sometimes that was for business purposes and things like that. But there was this idea of, like, oh, this family and this family could join in through a marriage. That's great. And
Yeah.
so today it's the same thing, just a little bit different. I don't know.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, and I don't need you to give details, and you probably shouldn't. But
I'm worried now.
when you and Olivia got married, what was the adjustment like for you? Like, were you like, okay, it took me 6 months to adjust to the way her family does things, or was it more like, nah, it took me 3 or 4 years? Like, what would you say for you was kind of that adjustment period?
I'm getting myself in trouble. I'm going to say I'm still adjusting.
Okay.
There's still elements of the culture of her family that I just. My family is probably a little bit more on the quieter side, and her family is a little bit more on the, like, boisterous kind of side.
Yeah.
A little bit. I don't know if I'm communicating that quite right, but
They're just more talkers, maybe.
they're a little bit more talkers, a little bit more like they're Southern.
Okay.
So Southern, Northern cultural differences play into that some.
Yep.
I'll give you kind of like an example. It took me a while to understand that for Olivia's mom, I think one of the ways that she really expresses love and care is through cooking. She loves to cook. She really enjoys that. She's got all the kitchen gadgets. She's got a bookshelf that rivals some of my bookshelves, and it's all cookbooks. And I have seen her. I remember early in our marriage, I saw her, we were over at their house, and I saw her just laying on a couch, like reading a cookbook like it was a book.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was a book, but like you were reading a novel.
Yeah.
And I just remember being astounded by this. What are you doing? Like, you look at these when you're ready to make something, but she would plan it out and think about them and all this stuff. She loves that. So because that's the way that she loves people, that's the way she shows care and love for people, it's good to reciprocate back to her. But when she makes a meal, you got to be really sure that you tell her, oh, that was great. Thank you so much for making that. And almost in a way where like you even want to make sure to compliment it, even if you don't necessarily love it, because you know that work and that effort comes from her heart. So I had to adjust a little bit where I like almost as a matter of habit, Debbie, if you're hearing this, I do actually like your cooking. So it's not like a lie. Okay, I do actually like a lot of what you cook. But almost as a habit, I've tried to really get myself into that rhythm of when I eat with her, I try to make sure to tell her, hey, thank you for this. This was good, so that she knows. And so that was an adjustment for me. I don't know.
Okay. Well, Debbie, if you're listening, next time you come to town, you should whip up something that you cook really good that you love to cook and bring it to the office. And
oh, boy.
We'd love to try it together.
Oh, you've just created a monster, probably. She will. She will. I don't know.
Well, that's okay. That's all right. Anything else you want to add to
I don't think so. I want people to understand that. And I'm not saying that it's easy. The adjustment hasn't been easy for me or Olivia. There are things about my family dynamic that I think she struggles with, and that's okay. But just going into your marriage, understanding that. And if you're married and you're frustrated with your in-laws, hey, they're your family now.
Yeah.
And you don't, they say you can't pick your family. Well,
you did.
You did. When you got married, you picked them, and now you're stuck with them.
That's right.
You're going to have to figure out how to live with that gracefully and really as a representative of Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah, you did pick that. You did pick that family. Yeah. The family you're born into, you don't get to pick it. You get to pick your church family, you get to pick your in-laws.
Yep.
But other than that, you don't. So, okay. Anything else on in-laws?
Hey, that's all I got for now.
Okay.
I think I got through this without offending anybody in my family. I hope.
Well, you're about to find out.
I will find out.
No, we hope not. Our intent
so.
in these podcasts is never to upset, offend, throw anybody into the bus, anything like that. But there are real life issues we got to talk about.
But y'all, in-laws can be touchy.
Yeah.
It can be difficult. So.
Yeah. We've all heard the jokes about in-laws and mother-in-laws and all that before you got married. And so I will just say that both of my mother-in-law and father-in-law are in heaven, and I got to have them for several years, but not 20 or 30 or 40 years like some people do. But I had great in-laws, and I had no issues with my relationship with them. And my mother-in-law was a talker. My father-in-law was very kind of quiet to himself. He was very much a gentleman in every way, very loving and kind. But he was just more quiet and reserved. He would sit and read daily and kind of putter around the house and do things like that. My mother-in-law, she was a talker and was easy to talk to. And the very first time I met her, I was scared to death. She wasn't my mother-in-law at the time,
right? But
you're meeting the girlfriend's parents and you're nervous and all that. And she came up and gave me a big smile and a big hug as if she had known me for 10 years.
Oh, well, that's
so I had great in-laws, and so love them very much, appreciative of them, thankful for them. But yes, you're right. It's not everybody is as blessed as I have been. So if you're out there and you're struggling, hang in there, commit it to prayer, and remember you chose this. So
your fault. Whatever.
No, I'm just teasing. Pastor Nathan, anything else about in-laws?
No, I'm good for now.
Okay. Anything else about marriage? We're wrapping up this month on marriage. Anything else?
No, I mean, I think we've covered a lot of really good subjects. There are obviously more things that we could talk about, but given the space that we've got committed to this month, I really like what we've talked about. Okay. These are good foundations.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun, as always, so thank you for helping to prepare these topics this month. Thank you so much for joining us today here, officially into fall, September 24th, as we wrap episode 38 up. Let me pray for you. Dear Jesus, thank you for this day. Thank you for this time that Pastor Nathan and I could just share together. God, thank you for those that have been listening. Thank you for those that make this podcast possible. Lord, I pray that you would bless our listeners today. God, I pray that you would help all of us in our marriages, in our relationships with our in-laws. God, may they be an extension of you. May they be relationships that bring honor and glory to you, that challenge each other, God, that are full of grace and forgiveness and love. So, Lord, thank you for loving us first. Thank you for teaching us to love each other. God, thank you for our families. I pray that you would bless our listeners today. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you again for joining us. Same time, same channel next week. New topic as we join into a new month in October next week. Keep rolling, Emmanuel.